PG-13, and we're both older than 13. Dad replied, because the movie contains nudity and profanity and immorality, which is something God hates, and as being normal and acceptable behavior, it is not. But Dad, those are just very small parts of the movie. That's what our friends who have seen it have told us. The movie is 2 hours long, and those scenes are just a few minutes of the total film. It's based on a true story, and good triumphs over evil, and there are some other redeeming themes like courage and self-sacrifice. Even the Christian Movie Review website says that. But Dad, what do you think? And he says, my answer is no, and that is my final answer. You're welcome to stay home tonight, invite some of your friends over, and watch one of the good videos we have in our home movie cabinet, but you will not go watch that movie. End of discussion. The two teenagers walked into the living room, rejected and dejected, and slumped down on the couch. And as they sat down, they began to sulk. And if you don't know what that means, just look around the church. You'll see somebody sulking. But they soon heard their dad in the kitchen and some pots and pans rattling around. And as they listened, they heard their dad doing something. And then all of a sudden, in just a little while, the sweet aroma of brownies began to fill the air. The two teenagers looked at each other and said, oh, Dad's feeling bad about not letting us go to the movie. He sticks in us brownies to make it, to kind of apologize, and we can wear him down and go to the movie. Well, about that time, the dad walked in with a pan full of brownies. And he sat down, and the preacher telling us that by that time, reading the letter, I'd already started into the second brownie, eating on it. And he says, as I was eating that second brownie, I read on. And he said, the teens were not disappointed. Soon their father had appeared with a pan full of brownies in tow. And he offered it to the teenagers. Each one of them took one. Then his father said, before you eat, I want to tell you something. I love you both so much. The teenagers smiled at each other with knowing glances, and Dad softening. So that is why I made these brownies with a very special ingredient just for y'all. I've made them from scratch. Most of the ingredients are even organic. The best organic flour, the best free-range eggs, the best organic sugar, premium vanilla, premium chocolate. The brownies look so mouth-watering. And the teens began a little impatient with their dad's long speech of what he had done with these. But he said, I want to be perfectly honest with you. There's one ingredient I added that is not usually found in brownies. I got that ingredient from my own backyard, but you don't need to worry about that. I only added the tiniest bit into the brownies so that your brownies would have this ingredient in it. The amount of the portion is practically insignificant. Just a little bit. So go ahead and take a bite and let me know what you think. Let me know if it's good. The two teenagers looked at each other and began to wonder, what's in these brownies? So they looked at their dad and began to say, what is the mystery ingredient in this, Dad? What is it in the brownie? Before we eat this, we want to know what the mystery ingredient is. Dad looked up and said, don't worry, it's organic. It's just like the other ingredients. He said, but Dad, we want to know what the mystery ingredient is. They persisted. So the dad said, okay, the secret organic ingredient is dog poop. He said, immediately, this is the preacher talking, I immediately quit chewing the brownie on these. I grabbed a wastebasket and spit everything I had in my mouth into the wastebasket. He said, I wondered if that was the same brownies as he's referring to in the story. He said, both teams instantly dropped their brownies back onto the plate and began to inspecting their fingers with horror to see if anything left on their fingers. Dad, why did you do that? You tortured us by making us smell those brownies cooking for the last half hour, and now you're telling us you added dog poop to the brownies? We can't eat these brownies. Why not? The amount of dog poop is very small compared to the rest of the ingredients. I just put a little bit in. It won't hurt you. It's been cooked right along with the other ingredients. You won't even taste it.
Come on, bro.
It has the same consistency as the brownies. Go ahead. No, Dad. No, never. We're not going to eat that. Then he looked at him and said, that is the same reason I will not allow you to go and watch that movie. Right. You won't tolerate a little dog poop in your brownie. How in the world can I allow you to allow a little bit of nudity, a little bit of cussing, a little bit of immorality in a movie that you see?
Amen.
Do you see the difference there? We compromise a lot of things, don't we? Right. We allow things that we know is not right. Just like the brownies. You wouldn't eat brownies with dog poop in it, would you? No. I've tasted a few I wondered about. Not at my house, but other places. But see, today we are looking at Daniel. Would you dare to be a Daniel? Would you dare to have a conviction about you? Would you dare take a stand? When all the world is against you, would you still stand upon the Word of God? Would you have a conviction that strong, or would you have a preference? I'm going to define here in a little while what a preference and what a conviction is. See, when I come to the section of Daniel, I always think about the words of the children's song. Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, dare to make it known. See, here Daniel, we find that Daniel and his three companions in verse number 6, where we learn that there were some of the young men who were carried away into Babylonian captivity when Nebuchadnezzar sacked it and conquered it. So here was 4 young men we're going to be reading about that was taken into captivity. Now, by the way, there was more than 4 taken into captivity from Israel. There was more than 4. But just imagine if these 4 would not have taken a stand, would there be a book written about Daniel and the 3 Hebrew children? If they compromised. If they said, well, the whole world's doing it, I'm going to do it too.
Come on, bro.
See, Vance Havner said of Daniel that he was a prophet of God who set a standard for all time.
Amen.
To take a stand. One of the things that disturbs me about this present generation is how Christians and churches are letting the world come into the church and making the church so worldly that there's no difference anymore. Shall we get comfortable? Oh, by the way, this is a new shirt y'all bought me. New jacket, new pants. This y'all bought this for me. Well, let's stand. Let's look at verse 8 through verse 21. Chapter number 1. Now, I struggled with a great title for this. I thought about the Vegetarian Quartet. Thought about a lot of different ones, but finally settled on what Daniel did in verse number 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For what? For why should we see your faces worse lacking than the children which are of your sword? Then ye shall make me endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days, and at the end of 10 days their countenance appeared fatter and fatter in flesh, and all the children which did eat of the portion of the king's meat. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat, and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. And as for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all manners of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all of his realm. And Daniel continued even to the first year of King Cyrus. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, let us purpose in our heart as Daniel did. As Azariah, Mishael, and these 3 Hebrew children, God, I pray, let us purpose in our hearts to serve you, to not compromise on you. Lord, to stay in church, to stay in your word, to stay close to you, Lord. Even when we stumble, when we fail, Lord, when we back up a step, help us, God, to run back to you and Lord, cling more closely to you. Let us get a purpose in our heart today. For God, we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. You know, a lot of times, as we look at this passage today, like Daniel, we need to recognize that the ultimate purpose in life is pleasing God. It's not pleasing ourselves, it's pleasing God. See, it's only when a Christian or church pleases God that is truly effective in reaching those around us. When we really get close to God, then we'll be able to reach out to others for God. Do you realize that you are His hands? Do you realize that you are His feet? You are His mouthpiece, and what we're doing, walking and saying for God, the world is looking upon us to see if we've got the goods.
Right.
You ever heard somebody say, man, that person got it? You know what that means, don't you? That means they got a good dose of what God's dishing out. They got a hold of God, God got a hold of them, and there's something different about them. There's something that God fired them up about. There's something about them that God made a change in their life. And see, when God makes a change in your life, you need to do like Daniel does and purpose in your heart now, today, that you're not going to sin against God tomorrow. You realize the devil's going to throw snares and traps out there every day the rest of your life until God calls us home. There's a trap, there's a snare out there waiting to get you. Right. See, when we don't realize it, we'll compromise.
That's right.
And by the way, things are not as they always appear.
That's right.
You know, a lot of times we think, well, that would never happen to me. Well, bless your heart, you don't know that. When we're pointing our fingers at others, we don't know how hard it was before they actually fell in whatever sin it was.
That's right.
Oh, Lord, help us. By the way, everything is not as it appears or it seems. I was reading this last night. A man was flying from Seattle to San Francisco, and I thought, well, Brother Mark would like this. Unexpectedly, the plane stopped in Sacramento along the way. So the flight attendant made the announcement and explained to everybody there's going to be a 60-minute delay, and if you'd like to get off the plane for a little while and stretch your legs, you're well welcome to do that. So about everybody on the plane got off the plane except one man. And he said, this man, as he walked, I could tell that he was a blind man. Because he had his seeing eye dog was sitting under the seat in front of him. And no doubt that this man had taken this trip many times before. Because when the captain come out, he called this man by name. He said, Bill, we got a 60-minute delay. Would you like to come up and stretch your legs? And he said, no, I wouldn't, but if you could, could you walk my dog out and stretch his legs? Well, the captain got a hold of the leash of the dog, walked out, and by the way, the captain had his sunglasses on. As he walked out of that terminal out there where all those people was, he had that seeing eye dog, and that dog was leading him out. You know what happened? Now picture this. All the people in the gate area were sitting there completely at a standstill when they looked up and saw the pilot walk off the plane with a seeing eye dog. Probably knew what I did or would have done. The pilot wearing sunglasses, he looked like he was blind. People scattered. They tried to get on another plane. They tried to change planes. They tried to change even carriers to another airline. But we need to remember things are not always as they appear.
That's right.
That pilot wasn't blind. But it appeared that way, didn't it? Sunglasses, seeing eye dog. You would have made the same assumption that I would have made. Daniel here could have fallen. The three Hebrew children could have done like everybody else, but they purposed in their heart, because everything don't appear like it seems. When that luscious food was laid out there, it looked good. There was meats of all sorts out there. There was all kind of food. It's kind of like yesterday when we went out there. They said, it's time to eat. We went out there and looked, and all this food was out there. And guess what we did? We ate. And it was good. And I thought about following them home and see what they had left. But see, Daniel used, matter of fact, I want you to notice the first two words in verse number 8. But Daniel. Daniel had already purposed in his heart what he was going to do. Daniel had already made he already had a conviction in his life that no matter what, even if it cost him his life, he would not bow and he would not forfeit his conviction. He was not for sale, you might say. Daniel was not going to sell his testimony out. Now I want you to notice the deception or the decision of these four. Notice in verse number 8, but Daniel in verse 8 includes Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. It was all four of them together. Now we see it says that, but Daniel. Daniel was kind of the leader, but the three Hebrew children was right behind him. They was willing to forfeit their life too. Now we don't know exactly how many was brought from Babylon that time into captivity when Daniel and the three Hebrew children. But there was a whole lot more than just four. Let's say there was 100 young people brought back and was being trained in Nebuchadnezzar's court, and out of the 100, only 4 young men was willing to take a stand. Only 4 young men purposed in their heart. Only 4 young men had made the decision to follow God no matter what it cost them. Daniel remained faithful to the Lord despite the strong temptations, despite the compromise. By the way, I was looking this up the other night, and I thought, man, I had never thought about this. You know the temptation that Adam faced in the garden was about food? Do you realize the first temptation in the wilderness that Jesus faced was about food? Then we come to Daniel, and the first temptation to bow and to compromise is again about food. That tells us how important food is, isn't it? See, to eat or not to eat, that is the question. To do something or not to do something is the question. To follow God and not to follow God is the question today. See, this one depends upon how we're going to represent our God and how we're going to stand for God, because the world out there is watching us.
Right.
But Daniel purposed in his heart. Daniel made a decision. One of the evangelists said, my sermons are, matter of fact, I thought about this, my sermons are like live chickens with their head cut off. Once you think the sermon is done, up and again, and then run in another direction. Some of y'all get that on the way home. But I like it. Because what we're trying to do today is get across. You need to have some convictions about you.
That's right.
So let's discuss that, their convictions. Notice back here, there were reasons why Daniel and his companions refused to eat the king's meat. There were some particular reasons why they could not drink the king's wine and could not eat the meat. For one thing, the Mosaic law in Leviticus chapter number 11 forbid them from eating certain foods. I don't know about you, but more than likely on that table, there was pork chops. There was bacon. There was, matter of fact, there was forbidden them. I got a little list of certain fish and fowls they could not eat. They couldn't eat camels. I don't know about you, I ain't never ate camel burger, have you? I don't know if they're eating good, might taste like chicken. But I don't know. Brother Mark was telling me about the events and all the deer over there in Scotland. You know, there were certain foods they could not eat. And now it was laid out in front of them. It's kind of like Bubba. Y'all hear the story about Bubba? Bubba's barbecue?
We're fixing to.
Yeah, you fix it today. Every Friday night after work, Bubba would go home and he would throw these big juicy steaks on the grill. And he'd throw these steaks up on the grill and he'd cook that venison steak, but all of Bubba's neighbors were Catholic. All of Bubba's neighbors, it was Lent time and they were forbidden from eating meat, real meat on Friday nights. So, the delicious aroma coming from that meat being grilled out there on the grill every Friday night became a problem for those Catholic folks smelling the aroma of that meat. So they confided in their priest, and then the priest came out to see Bubba and suggested that he become Catholic. After several classes and much study, Bubba attended Mass. The priest sprinkled some holy water over him and said, you were born a Baptist, you was raised a Baptist, but now you are Catholic. Bubba's neighbors were greatly relieved about Bubba being a Catholic. Friday night arrived, they thought everything was hunky-dory, and all of a sudden they smelled that sweet aroma of that meat being cooked out on the grill again Friday night. So the Catholic called the priest come running over there, going to scold Bubba, and he come through the hedges, and stood there and he listened, and Bubba was over there with some holy water, and he's pouring it on that venison, and he said, you were born a deer, you was raised a deer, but now you're catfish. But I want to tell you, it doesn't matter about all the things that the world throws at us. What we need to realize today is we need to take a stand. We need to have some convictions about us. And if we don't have some convictions about us, the world knows that they can get the best of us, and the devil knows what our weaknesses are, and he's going to make us stumble, and he's going to make us fall if we don't purpose in our heart to follow God.
Right.
Matter of fact, notice there's a word here. That he would not defile himself. That word defile means to soil or to desecrate. Daniel knew if he ate that meat and drank that wine. Now why would he? Now I don't know about you, but I have yet to turn down a steak.
For sure.
My wife tell you, I don't turn down too many steaks. You invite me to your house, you say I got a steak for you, preacher, guess what? I'll be there. That's a hint. Y'all didn't get it. But can you imagine Daniel and the three Hebrew children looking, and they knew where that meat came from? That was sacrificial meat to heathen gods. They knew they couldn't eat that meat. They couldn't partake of that because it had been offered on the altar of foreign gods. It was meat that was forbidden by God, and they knew that their life was in jeopardy if they ate the meat, and they knew that they'd defile themselves with that meat if they ate it. They didn't want to soil their hearts. They didn't want to desecrate what God had placed in there. They wanted to stand firm. They wanted to stand straight and tall. They wanted to stay close to God. So what is the difference between a conviction and a preference? I'm glad you asked that question. I think the best definition is by David Gibbs Jr. He's an attorney with the Christian Law Association, gave of a preference and a conviction. He said a preference is a strong belief, held with great strength. You can give your entire life in a full-time way to a service of a preference. He said it can also give your entire material wealth in the name of the belief. He said you can also energetically proselyte others to your preference. You can also want to teach this belief to your children, and the Supreme Court may still rule that it is a preference. A preference is a strong belief, but a belief that you will change under right circumstances. Let me give you an example of that. Circumstances such as peer pressure. Can somebody talk you out of it? Oh, let me just go a little step further. Can somebody come to you and talk you out of going to church?
Come on, preacher.
What are you talking about, preacher? Can somebody pressure you into doing that? We know about peer pressure, don't we? I'm going to do like David did. I'm going to get fired up. Somebody got some kerosene? Throw it on the pew. Don't throw it on me. I'm going to try to light the fire on you. You realize that peer pressure, people will pressure you. And it's by the way, it's not just kids and teenagers, it's mature adults too. You know, our friends and our family, that's another problem. Our family can pressure us into doing the wrong thing. Amen. Do you realize that peer pressure is a problem we got today? And that's where we base it upon a preference. If they can talk us out of going to church, if they can talk us out of reading our Bible, if they can talk us of not spending that time with God, then your service to God is a preference. Right. It's not a conviction. Amen. Did you catch what I just said? If they can talk you out of not doing something for God, then it's a preference, not a conviction. Right. By the way, you realize that if a lawsuit can come along, you're taking a stand for God, and a lawsuit can come along, and you quit serving God because of that lawsuit, it wasn't a conviction, it's a preference. Right. Yep. If you was put into jail because of what you believed in, would you recant of it and say, I'm sorry, but I won't do it again? By the way, if you go back in church history, you'll find out the men and women of God took a stand all the way to death. Amen. Taking a conviction to their heart that they would not beat or bow or burn for God. Even the three Hebrew children later on in the passages, you'll find out when they're thrown in the fiery furnace, they didn't burn because of the conviction of serving God. I like what they told the king. Be it known unto thee, O king, whether God saves us, I'm going to paraphrase this, if God saves us or not, we will not serve your gods. We will not bow down. We will not, because we're serving the one true living God. Amen. Because see, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Even if God has let our bodies die right then and there, they'll be in the presence of God. Amen. I don't know about you, but that'll fire you up right there. Right. As David said in Sunday school, if they don't fire you up, you wouldn't wet. Right. See, what we need to realize today, if we get some convictions about us, there is a God in heaven, and He's in charge today. Amen. What we need to do is, we need to see if our religion is a preference or a conviction. Right. Do we prefer? Somebody asked me one time, why are you a Baptist? I said, I'm a Baptist because I believe it's closer to the Word of God. If I didn't, I would be something else. I'd go to another church. I'd go, by the way, it's not about denominations. It's about getting close to God. Amen. Denominations man-made. It does. I'll have fellowship with Holiness, Pentecostals, Presbyterians. Matter of fact, somebody asked me the other day about Catholic folk. I said, God loves Catholic folk. God loves Presbyterian. God loves Methodist. By the way, God even loves Baptist. Amen. But I want to tell you about all these denominations. If you don't get saved by grace, you ain't going to heaven. That's right. I don't care what you have on the front of your time. I remember reading a story last night, and there's a Catholic priest, a Presbyterian, and a Baptist. And the Catholic priest, they asked him, said, well, why are you a Catholic priest? He said, I grew up Catholic, and I became a priest, and that's why I'm a priest in the Catholic Church. He asked the Presbyterian, he said, I grew up Presbyterian, that's why I'm a Presbyterian. The Baptist, they looked at it and said, well, if you went to Baptist, what else would you want to be? He said, I want to be ashamed. That was just kind of pale on it. Y'all ready for the next point? I'm going to tell you, we've got about 10 more minutes. Would the threat of death change your convictions? If you stood on the Word of God and somebody says you will die. Matter of fact, a few years ago, y'all remember the shooting that happened in one of the schools, and the boy come up to the girl and said, are you a Christian? And she said, yes, I am a Christian. He shot her in the head and killed her. Would you change your mind right then and there? Or would you say, yes, I'm a Christian? Would death change your convictions? Would death change your attitude? Would death change your decision? You go through the Word of God, you'll find out out of the 11 disciples remaining after Judas Iscariot, you'll find out the other 10 of them, 11 of them, gave their life for the cause of Christ. John was the only one that died of old age. All the rest of them, one was beheaded, another one was flayed alive, another one was crucified upside down. All through the Word of God, all through church history, you'll find how men and women gave their life because they would not back up on the Word of God. If you'll back up because of family pressure, lawsuits, because of jail, because of death, then you have a preference. Now let me give you the definition of a conviction. A conviction is a belief that you will not change. Why? A man believes that his God requires it of him. Preferences are not protected by the Constitution. Convictions are. A conviction is not something that you discover. It is something that you purposed in your heart, according to Daniel 1:8. You have purposed it. Conviction on the inside will always show up on the outside. It is a person's lifestyle. To make or to violate a conviction would be a sin. So when you have a conviction in your life, refraining from defiling yourself, when you know that it is wrong, it becomes a sin, then you got to get it under the blood.
Right. That's right.
How often has the culture around us enticed us to commit some sin? How often has the luxuries of the world tempted us to disobey God? How often have we allowed our desires for position, for power, for fame to consume us? How often have we just let the world dictate the way we ought to live? What we need to do is have some convictions about us and stand up in the face of the enemy and say, I'm going to serve and follow God